Here's Orta. Takes up high, ball one.
By the way, I said defensive coordinator because that's the way Parcells started. He still executes that role as head coach. You understand that?
There was never a doubt.
I don't want to let this evening get away. Since I mentioned Monday Night Football, I speak for Al and for Jim, our colleague. Let's just get through this pitch.
George Orta leading off here in the 7th inning. 1 ball and 1 strike. It's a fly ball to left center field. Herndon comes in and makes the catch. 1 out.
Now to what I was saying. Our colleague Frank Gifford has suffered a personal tragedy, a very deep one, the loss of his brother, heart trouble, and there's no way we can console him except to tell him how deeply we feel for him, for his mother, and for his family. So, buddy, hang tough the way you always have.
Motley grounding the first pitch foul with 1 away here in the 7th inning. 0-1 the count. Only run of the game back in the 2nd inning. Couple of singles and a ground out. Castillo driving in the run. That's been it. And Wilcox has owned the Royals, allowing just 1 hit through 6 1/3. Swing and a miss. Wilcox pitched a 1-hit shutout against Kansas City here in Detroit.
Great innings, wasn't it?
No, in April of 1982. Went all the way. Went all the way 2 years ago. Jerry Martin had a 2nd inning single, and that was it. Wilcox, too, you recall, last year, almost had a perfect game. Jerry Hairston of the White Sox, 2 out in the 9th inning. Broke it up. Backhanded nicely by Castillo. Look at that arm.
What a throw.
Oh.
How's that for a gun, Jim? Woof.
This is the ball you don't catch if you're not playing the line late in the ball game. Makes a fine backhand play, sets himself. Again, knows his ability to throw. It's a long way to first. Gets him by almost 2 steps.
It's amazing.
Well, maybe Sparky knew something when he put him in
That's
third.
what I was about to say. As you noted the other night, Sparky has the horses, but he knows how to use them. And somehow these role players are in the right place at the right time. Al, you mentioned Wednesday night opening the game, how hurt Sparky was when he was fired by Cincinnati, with the true reasons never disclosed. In the long run, maybe it was a break. Staying with the Reds, he would have had one of those transition and building teams very soon come upon him. Instead, he came to this team, and look what's happened.
Well, he very well might have, unless he had a lot of input into maybe rearranging what turned out to be the philosophy there that created that transitional situation. As Balboni pops it up, and Castillo is there. The crowd is really now coming to life because they can begin to sense it imminently. They're only 6 outs away from the pennant. 1-0 Detroit as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. The Tigers have other ideas. Coming up immediately following your late local news tonight, ABC News Nightline. Baseball's beanball controversy. Pitchers intentionally throwing at batters. And that will be examined tonight on Nightline. And among those discussing it, our colleague, the Twin D, Don Drysdale.
A winder. Remember 1965 and the Marichal Roseboro incident? And all at that occasion, when Roseboro went after Marichal. Then the next time they met, it was Labor Day. Chuck Howard, our producer, and I were doing the game, and the winder was to start. First time that they were going against the Giants. Mays, then the captain of the Giants, and everybody wondered if the winder was going to go at the Giants because he had an undeserved reputation for doing such things. He never was a headhunter. You know that, Al.
No, but he's a great guy to have in on a conversation about that subject. Tonight on Nightline. Lemon is the batter. Now, if you know Don Drysdale personally, I mean, the last thing in the world he does is snarl at you. Mild-mannered and very polite. Until you get a couple of hits off him, of course.
Well, he never could handle Henry Aaron. That's all I can tell you.
A lot of guys couldn't handle Henry Aaron.
0-1 pitch. His duels with Mays used to be classic.
He's going to be playing in a Willie Mays golf tournament in just a week or so in Atlantic City. Winder's a good golfer.
Pitch. Fights it off on a little half swing and unintentionally pops to Balboni. Lemon is now 0 for 13 as you look down from the Goodyear blip. Tiger Stadium.
Well, here's one of the things that's made Charlie Lebrand successful, moving the ball around.
Pitching him inside, the right-handed.
Threw that cut fastball right in on Lemon's fist, and that's the place to pitch him.
Evans with a single and a walk is 3 for 9 in the playoffs. Lebrand, Evans grounding it down to Balboni, and there are 2 away. 2 down. The round baller himself.
Yeah.
As you might say, Coach.
What a great player.
Hi, Howard.
Hey.
Mom, Dad.
Kelly, I just want you to know that your dad loves you and he's in great shape.
Frank
Tribute, quarterback, Notre Dame.
Here's Castillo taking inside, ball 1. 1-0.
It was the first time I ever saw anybody look in the camera and say hello, Mom, and then include their dad. They always say hello, Mom. Nobody ever says Dad.
Dad was a pretty good athlete. Grounded to third, and it's Brett over to Balboni, and that's an easy inning. And Charlie Lebrand is second best right now, but doing the job. Still 1-0 Detroit as we go to the 8th, and we'll be back with more after this from your local stations. Mind the fans, I guess, that there are a few uniformed officers at Tiger Stadium. They came out and stood near the foul lines between innings and have taken their stations along the walls.
That's
sort of a well, just to show the fans that there is a little security here, reminiscent of the first time I ever saw anything like this. You did too, Howard, in Philadelphia.
That's right, but
1980 with the horses.
Something for America to think about, and the very sight of it. And this game itself, another example of the absolute unpredictability of the game of baseball. 7 innings pitched by 2 pitches, brilliantly pitched. Charlie for the Kansas City Royals and Milt for the Detroit Tigers, and neither of them having pitched a complete game so far this year. That doesn't mean relievers won't be coming in now. That either pitcher could crack at any time, but still so unpredictable.
Well, this is a scene that I haven't seen where the officers are literally remaining on the playing surface in foul territory, wedged up against the seats, and obviously could become involved in a play up against the wall in foul ground. But that's what they have deemed necessary. The authorities here in Detroit, at least at the moment. 8th inning, and White's the batter, and a swing and a miss, and the count is 0-1. White with Castillo guarding the line at third. Wilcox missing with a breaking pitch, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. White is 0 for 2 tonight and 1 for 10 in the series. Tigers leading 1-0, trying to wrap up their first pennant in 16 years. White was out in front of it and hooks it down the line and into foul ground. And you can see all the policemen scatter. Crowd is booing. Well, they're booing the presence of the police officers at this particular point, even though that did not figure in the play. But wouldn't that be wild and one for the book, so to speak, if you get some of these fellas involved in a critical play late in the game?
I would think a more prudent decision would have brought them out in the ninth inning. I mean, it seems like they, as you said, could interfere very readily with the ball in play.
The crowd is now chanting off the field, off the field.
They're on the field because of fear of the crowd, because of past occurrences in sporting arenas around this country. They do form an obtrusion in the manner of the bullpen.
Strikes out. Number 8 for Wilcox.
That ties his record.
Seasonal high for him.
Ties his record as a big leaguer, I believe. Career record. No? What was it, Alan?
11.
11. What year was that? We've got the trusty Alan Roth here.
Howard, I talked to Lance Parrish about Wilcox, and he said he was pumped for this game. But he just threw that pitch right there as hard as he's thrown any pitch. Usually a pitch that Frank White can hit, threw it right by him.
Don Slaught, soft fly ball to center, could drop, and does, base hit. So the kind of break that Kansas City needs, a little soft fly ball that drops in. And they have a man on. Concepcion is due up but won't come up. We're going to see Dane Orge, who came up and delivered a key base hit and a pinch hit roll the other night.
Now let me remind you of what we said Wednesday night about Dane Orge. An excellent contact hitter, a sharp hitter. Look at that graphic that shows you what he's hit. 6 postseason games, a clutch player. And indeed, in the press conference that Hauser attended yesterday, he said, look, I've got no apologies for my team. I've heard enough about how we shouldn't be here. He said, we've got bench, and we've got good bench. Look at MCRAE, and look at Dane Orge, and look at Jones, and look at how they proved out for me. And he had a good point, Jim.
He certainly did.
Meanwhile, Hernandez and Lopez are in the bullpen. Orge is at the plate, and he goes after the first pitch, fouling it at the plate, and the count is 0-1.
Well, he's a much better fastball hitter, and saw Wilcox right there start him off with a curveball. He watched the game the other night. He saw that line drive he hit into right field on a fastball.
Hernandez, who was bothered with a strep throat the other night, that's the reason he came out after 1 inning. Apparently all right now.
I knew Allen would come up with it. 8/21, 78 against Boston here at Detroit. Complete game win, 11 strikeouts for Wilcox. That's the maximum number in his career.
Orge popping it in foul ground and playable back of third. Over comes Castillo, and he makes the catch. So 2 down in the 8th inning, and Willie Wilson coming up.
Wilcox is another man who's overdue. Wilcox has allowed but 2 hits. One, remember, was that sharp line single to left, no question about it, by Brett with 1 out in the top of the 4th. The other, the Don Slaught blooper that you just saw with 1 out here in the 8th. Now they're at 2 out.
Talking about overdue, in just about 28 innings, they've only scored 3 runs. Actually 4 runs.
Thus far, they have not had a man reach second base tonight.
Wilson fouls it away. Royals Royals going into that sort of hitting funk, Jim. It's reminiscent of the division series in the strike season 1981 when you had the split season and they wound up playing Oakland in the playoffs and couldn't buy a run. Got swept.
Well, it's no mystery to me. I mean, when you talk about facing Morris and Petrie, two pretty good pitchers, and if you look at Wilcox, 17-8 on the year, even though that 4 earned run average is a little bit misleading because he's pitched a lot better the last couple months.
So who's to say it's a slump?
Last year, if you look at the American League Championship Series, Chicago scored almost 900 runs.
And look
the Oriole pitching.
Look what the Orioles did to them. In the meantime,
in fact, they were so good I didn't even get a chance to pitch.
It's still only a 1-run ball game.
Crowd is.
Well, I still think that Sparky's thinking about who do you want to pitch the 9th inning, or Wilcox get in trouble. Wilcox or Hernandez or Lopez.
Wilcox has it grounded down to Evans, who makes a great stop and wins the race to the bag and beats Willie Wilson to the bag. And he's the toughest man in the league to beat to the bag on a play like that.
But the play typifies look at Willie. He can't believe it yet. And the play typifies that group of men, the Tigers of 1984. Doesn't matter who it is. Role players, Jim Palmer said. They've all been that, including Darrell Evans, the free agent they got from the Giants. Close play. Oh! But from that angle, I'm sorry, I can't tell. Can you, Jim? Is the base covered the runner's foot?
Middle of the 8th, still 1-0 Detroit. Again now, just great play by Evans and the way he's able to beat Wilson to the bag.
What a stab.
Stretching all the way out for it.
Now from this angle, he wins the race. See what I mean?
Yeah.
The bag was covering Willie's foot from the other angle. Absolutely correct call by the umpire.
Meanwhile, Whitaker to start things in the bottom of the 8th inning, and the count is 0-1. Whitaker, Trammell, and Gibson. When the Royals come up at the top of the 9th, Sheridan, Brett, and Order, they're 2, 3, and 4 hitters. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. That's Buddy Biancalana, who has taken over at shortstop since Forge batted for Concepcion.
3 outs away from a pennant.
Meanwhile, Willie Hernandez has just made his way into the Tiger dugout with his jacket on after warming up, which would be the tip-off that they're going to use Hernandez in the 9th inning.
And the tip-off that this time he's ready. Sparky flatly said after the Wednesday night game, you'll remember, Jim, look, I shouldn't have put Willie in there. I know he had the flu. I know he had, in effect, a strep throat, and he wasn't ready. So I'm to blame, not Hernandez.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Again, the policeman rimming Tiger Stadium in foul territory. Lining up, facing the crowd between innings again, as if the crowd needed a reminder of their presence at this particular point. 2-2 the count. Dan Quisenberry gets up in the Kansas City pen.
Well, this is clearly one of those situations. As good as Lee Brandt's been, you cannot let Detroit score in this inning.
No, sir. Not one insurance run. Don't forget, they've got Sheridan, Brett, and Orta.
Well, you have the men you want coming up.
And you've got MCRAE, in addition, in case Hernandez is put in there.
Popped up in foul ground. That'll be over toward the policeman, and Brett tries to work his way through him, and it's back out of play. A lot of things to think about when you're going over there. 14 guys trying to scramble. You're thinking about things like the tarpaulin and the railing.
You know, you can look at the face of George Brett. Such a great professional. So many years, and still a young man, only 31. And what a competitor he is, will be, and how it must hurt to be in this situation. Now,
we talked about his injuries. Most of them manifest themselves because he plays so hard. Nobody plays any harder than George Brett, all out on every play. I think most people across America think of him as just a guy that could almost hit 400, but if you ever go to a Superstars, you find out what an all-around athlete he is.
And Whitaker strikes out, so Lee Brandt gets him. Again, Quisenberry, he'd probably come in if anybody gets on, because it's very obvious you cannot afford to give up a run in this inning.
Another great lone away slider. It's no disgrace to pitch this kind of game against the Tigers.
Sure isn't. He has pitched an absolutely brilliant game. Personally, he can feel very proud, no matter how it turns out.
Well, unfortunately for the Royals, if it turns out 1-0, they got great pitching performances from Saberhagen and Lee Brandt.
That's right.
It will turn out for naught. Again, if there is a fourth game, it's a day game tomorrow, and we'd be on the air at 12:30 Eastern time. National League Game 4 tomorrow night at 8 Eastern. To center and right to Wilson. That's the second out. Trammell gone, Gibson coming up.
So he has handled Trammell all night as he has handled Whitaker. And just a compelling performance. Gibson is 1 for 2. Struck out his last turn at bat. You see it there in the graphic. And probably the favorite for the MVP since he participated in all 3 games. Yet Wilcox, in the clutch game against such a pitching opponent as Lee Brandt has proved to be, deserves consideration too, if the Tigers win.
Again, the only run of the game tonight. Second inning, Garbe singled. Lemon hit into a force, so Chet was at first when Evans singled. Lemon went to third, then Castillo hit. But ground ball to short. Not hard enough for the Royals to turn the double play. They'll go back and remember it was a pretty close play at first base. There was no question about it, but it was close. The run scored, and that's the only run of the game. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss, and the count is 1-2. Lee Brandt has not given up a hit since the second inning. Been only 5 hits in the game.
Certainly bodes well for Kansas City next year. They don't win tonight.
Certainly does.
Young pitching staff.
Kubazo will have had a year under his belt that he needed.
Bud Black, 17 wins, come along. Pitched a little disappointingly in the first game, but certainly the type of guy that you build a pitching staff around. Quisenberry will be back, a young man. Willie Wilson all year. George Brett all year.
Have a lot going for him. Maybe a healthy George Brett.
Balboni, a year under his belt as a regular first baseman.
Lee Brandt knocks it down, picks it up, and throws him out. And so Charlie Lee Brandt pitches 8 beautiful innings at Tiger Stadium. But as he comes off, he trails 1-0, and we'll be back after this message and a word from your local stations. Look at the only run of the game. Runners at first and third, 1 out, infield double play depth. Marty Castillo is the batter. Ball not sharply hit. Concepcion shovels to White. He turns it over. And Castillo, no question, beats it, but on a close play at first base, the run scored, and that is it. 9th inning. 2 hits in the game for Kansas City, 3 for Detroit, and Willie Hernandez, the man they've gone to all season, comes out of the bullpen to try to get the final 3 outs and give Detroit its first pennant in 16 years.
But again, as Wilcox not getting a complete game, I'd go with Hernandez. Sparky's doing the right thing.
Len Jones to lead off, pinch hitting one toward the gap in left center, but it's Lemon racing over, and he flags down everything. 1 away as Jones goes after the pitch, and George Brett is the batter.
But who's to say Wilcox couldn't have done it all alone?
Sure he wanted to, but Sparky is a man who makes decisions and doesn't get talked out of him.
He's made all the right ones. He wins this pennant. The man has had as remarkable a year as it's possible to have in managing. Don't you agree, Jim?
No doubt about it. He's done everything they asked.
There's a kite. Somebody is either flying a kite or the kite is loose. So that's the reason for time. Some of the crowd starting to sing the Sha Na Na goodbye song. Sparky looking for his 11th consecutive postseason win, which
He'll
would
break
eclipse
Joe McCarthy's record.
mark. And the pitch is low, ball 1 to George Brett. 1-0. Orta would be due up next, but Hal McRae has a bat, and McRae will come up to pinch hit. Brett hits it sharply to Evans. He'll do it himself, and the Tigers are 1 out away.
Now the crowd is not to be quieted. They stand as one. Look at them.
Hal McRae, who hit Hernandez's first pitch the other night, the first pitch he saw for a double to drive in a run, will stand in. Two out of the night. Oh, and 1. Still no balls and 2 strikes on McRae. Ground into the hole. Trammell. Can he throw him out? Evans cannot dig it out. He was safe anyway. And so the Royals stay alive as McRae beats it out. So Hal McRae is on, and Darryl Motley comes to the plate for Kansas City.
You see how deep Trammell was playing, Jim?
Well, the toughest play for a shortstop, going to your right into the hole.
On the grass, trying to get leverage, couldn't stop. Then, even if his arm were perfectly sound, he'd never have thrown him out.
Meanwhile, UL Washington goes into pinch run for McRae. Washington, the tying run at first, 2 out. Motley is 0 for 3 tonight, 2 for 11 in the series. 2 out in the ninth, 1-0 Detroit. 1-0.
So the tension persists. Well, Motley in 15 home runs, 10 on the roads. He's one of those guys that when you get him out of Royal Stadium, can hit the long ball. Doesn't happen too much off this guy right here, Willie Hernandez, but it's always a possibility.
Popped up in foul ground and playable, and the Tigers win the pennant. first time in 16 years, the Detroit Tigers are the American League champions. They do it convincingly. They go through the regular season with the best record in baseball and sweep the Royals in the playoffs. Sweep them in 3. Al Troutwig is in the Tiger dressing room, and when we come back, he'll be with manager Sparky Anderson and the American League champion. Tigers won it 1-0 to win the pennant, sweep the series. Your local news will be following, and then coming up after that will be Nightline as well, as the Tigers win it by a score of 1-0. Let's go to the Detroit clubhouse and Al Troutwig. Okay, Al.
Al, noise, the smell of sweat, and the taste of champagne. It is the American League pennant-winning celebration. With me, the MVP, Kirk Gibson. Kirk, I watched you. You seemed a little fidgety in the batting cage before the game. What was going through your mind?
I wasn't fidgety. I was just very psyched up for the game. I felt real good at the plate. I've had great concentration, and I just wanted to get the game started because you didn't think I was swinging good, but I knew I had a good swing. I had a good quick bat. I was really fired up. I just wanted to play the game. We were very confident coming in here that we could win. We could taste it, and 1-0. I'll tell you, it's a real nail-biter, but that's competition.
It was a little frustrating to watch because Kansas City couldn't seem to do anything right, and your team seemed to blow so many easy scoring chances.
Well, that's the way the game goes. It's a game inches sometimes, and we did leave a lot of guys on, and we were very fortunate that we did get away with the 1-0 game. But look at Milt Wilcox. It's probably the best game he's pitched of his entire career, and great defensive play by Darrell Evans in the 8th inning. What can you say? That's why we're such a great team, you mullion jack.
Now, on the losing side for Kansas City, you had Charlie Lebrand pitching one of his best games ever. And what might he be thinking right now?
Well, Charlie has nothing to be ashamed of. He pitched an outstanding game, no doubt about it. He was tough. Fortunately, I got a good pitch to hit in the first inning, and he was real tough on me, and obviously the rest of the people. He had just good motion and good locational balls, and he threw a lot of tough pitches. And it's unfortunate that Milt pitched just a little better, and Marty hustled down the line and beat the double play out to get the run in.
Earlier today, I spoke to Sparky Anderson. He said this is just a bunch of good people, and it has resulted with a hopeful pennant tonight here in Tiger Stadium. Would that be the way you sum up this Detroit Tiger team?
We have great chemistry here. We all love each other. We love to win, and put us all together, and we're very hungry people. We have good talent, but we have great attitude, and when the guys are down, there's always somebody that's brought us back, and it just hasn't been me or Lance Parrish. It's Alan Trammell. He goes right down the line. There's a new hero every day on this team.
Kirk, congratulations on being voted the MVP. A great series, and good luck in the World Series.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, we'll be back. We'll talk to Sparky Anderson and other heroes of the Detroit Tigers' victory here tonight. Back on ABC in a moment.
For a race car winner, race car driver, a victory lap taken by Sparky Anderson, taking place just a couple of minutes ago. Let's go back to Al Troutwig now.
All right, Al, with me is Milt Wilcox, the winning pitcher in this game. Kirk Gibson said it was a very nervous game, 1-0. I think you'd have to agree.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, anytime you get in a situation like that, their pitcher was pitching a heck of a game. You know, Lebrand didn't make any mistakes, and we just had, you know, I had good control, and Lance Parrish called a great game. We made some great plays. That's what we've been doing all year. You know, everybody's been down playing us all year, but we played good as a team all year.
And still, that record's still complete for the year. No complete games, and I think you don't care at all.
No, we don't care. You know, I talked to Jack Morris and Dan Petrie and the rest of the guys about records. It makes no difference as long as you win, and that's what we've done all year. We just keep winning.
Now, you're getting this cold shower, and you're loving every minute of it. Over on the other side, in the Kansas City Royals locker room, Charlie Lebrand, who pitched probably as good a game as could have been expected from anyone cheering for Kansas City.
Oh, he pitched a great game. You know, he's a real good competitor. I know Charlie a little bit. We did a couple of interviews together. He's a great guy, but you know what? I got to feel good for our team because we did it all year and we deserve it.
All right, little romance in your heart for a Cubs World Series?
Well, I don't know. I don't really care who we play because we're going to play good. That's all.
All right, Milt, congratulations. Al Michaels, back up to you.
All right, thank you, Al Troutwig. Nice job in the Tiger clubhouse where Detroit wins it in the 8th inning. This play by Darrell Evans. The key defensive play, squelching what might have been a Kansas City rally. And with Hernandez coming out of the bullpen, there's the final 1-0. Al Michaels, Howard Cosell, Jim Palmer. Our thanks to Alan Roth and Steve Hurt. That's the story from Detroit.